Alright, so in this video, we're going to look at specifically at the causes of the October Revolution and kind of blow right through all the events that create the October Revolution. I'm not going to move much with the presentation, so I just kind of want to go from point to point. So where we leave off is Lenin comes back after the February Revolution and says, hey, don't trust the provisional government or anybody because the revolution is not over. It's a call to arms. You have a situation where you have a dual government where you have competing governments for competing parts of Russia. Those that see themselves as working class look at the Petrograd Soviet. The Soviet means a workers' council. And the provisional government, which kind of takes charge after the fall of the Duma, or the whole czarist regime. So there's some bad decision making. Some of it's by Kerensky, but it's not really Kerensky's fault. Kerensky's supposed to be the attorney general of sort, and he ends up getting thrust into positions he's really not ready for or shouldn't have because a lot of people resign. So Kerensky is leading an offensive, and it goes horribly wrong. That's not really his fault either. The Russians are kind of backed up against a wall. Now, the whole point of the February Revolution is to alleviate the problems of the war, and the provisional government cannot do that. They are not able to do that because the Allies, like Britain, are threatening them if they leave the war. So the tension boils over into the streets in July 3rd through the 5th. It's known as the July Days. And it looks like it's a Bolshevik coup. The reason for that is the Bolsheviks are the outside party looking in and the agitator party. So the people come down into the streets and they ask Lenin to lead a revolution. And Lenin is not going to do it. He doesn't feel the timing's right. So Kerensky, who by this point in time is almost leading the government, and then after the July Days, almost everybody resigns from the provisional government, thrusting Kerensky into basically the leadership position in Russia. Kerensky then turns around and arrests the Bolsheviks, throws them in prison, and Lenin flees. So you have this situation now where Lenin's gone, the provisional government has nobody, and the Bolsheviks are arrested. In a way, Russia is just waiting for some sort of revolution. Somebody is going to seize power. And it's amazing because there's supposed to be an assembly that's going to write a democratic constitution in January, but events on the ground are keeping that from occurring. So the coup actually comes from the right. A general by the name of Kornilov decides that things are out of control in Russia and he needs to bring order. So he shows up or at least starts to go towards Petrograd. Kerensky freaks out and opens up the political prisons to get the Bolsheviks out to help him stop what he believes is a military dictatorship coup, which is what it is. The Bolsheviks help and stop the coup by actually talking to the soldiers, and the soldiers see themselves as more aligned with the socialists than they would with their military leaders, really, at the time. And Kornilov's coup is a failure, and it makes the Bolsheviks heroes. So what ends up occurring now is the Bolsheviks are going to be extraordinarily popular. The Bolsheviks look like they were right about the war. The Bolsheviks look like they were right about the army. The Bolsheviks look like they were right about the government. And they become really popular. So they win massive elections. They also start creating their own private militias and their own private armies. They start this in March of 1917, but it becomes kind of the party's army of sort as they get closer to October, where they're going to try to overthrow the government. And the second the Bolsheviks get themselves as the most popular party, in August they are elected as the most powerful party and actually take over the Petrograd Soviet, they start planning a revolution. Now, two Bolshevik leaders, Zinoviev and Kamenev, who become much more significant later, are two of the top Bolsheviks, and they write a letter stating that the Bolsheviks should not have a revolution. It's a way of trying to throw out that the Bolsheviks would have a revolution to try to get people to stop it. They're not anti-Bolshevik. They just believe that if the Bolsheviks try to throw a revolution, they would lose, and it'd be the end of their party. It has the opposite effect, because everybody knows that there's going to be a revolution. The Bolsheviks now have to go through with it. And on the night of October 24th or 25th, the Bolsheviks take over the main government buildings in Petrograd and Moscow, leaving the Bolsheviks in power. Kerensky, for his part, flees, and there basically isn't much of a problem with the Bolsheviks taking power in the cities. But when it's all said and done, the Bolsheviks only have the cities. And we'll have to fight to keep the rest of the country. And then we'll turn into civil war.